Behind this T-shirt is Tim Hayes welcoming you to Arizona 87. And when we mentioned that this is a program about kids, we meant that. KIDS, a marvelous consortium of community-based organizations and state government working to create foster home opportunities for young people who need it. We're going to be talking today about kids and about some people who are directly involved in foster home and foster parenting. It's a delight to welcome back a young man who's become sort of an annual guest on Arizona 87, Michael Jacobs, who is the coordinator for the Kids Foster Care Consortium. Michael, nice to welcome you back.
It's nice to be
Shoes and all, it's nice to have you here. Joining us, too, are some very special people, a family, and that's really the burden of what we're talking about today, the opportunity to create a family. Al Nieto, who is a casework supervisor with the Division for Developmental Disabilities in the Department of Economic Security, is totally apart from that and purely as an individual, a single foster parent. Al, nice to welcome you here this morning.
Thank you. Nice
to share your story with us. We also need to meet Al's family. First, I want you to meet Tyler Nieto. Forgive me, Tyler. Tyler, who is probably going to be docked a half-hour for taping this morning from his job at American Express. We hope that won't happen to you. Nice to welcome you here, too. Joining us is his brother, Tony, who's a student at Cortez High School. Nice to have you here this morning, Tony.
It's nice to be here.
And finally, Mark Nieto, who has struggled out of the sack to join us here this morning. Nice to have you here, too.
Thank you,
Mark. Before we talk to this marvelous family, Michael, tell us a little bit about the 11 agencies who make up the Kids Consortium and what their objective really is in our community.
Well, Kids is rather a unique way of recruiting and licensing foster parents. What we have is a totally cooperative effort by 9 private agencies and 2 separate state agencies under DES that have gotten together, and it's been now close to 7 years since Kids started, and work totally together to recruit and license foster parents and really put the power and a lot of the control into the hand of the foster parent. In other words, foster parents choose which agency they want to be with, and it's a totally flexible system.
Okay, that's neat, because systems aren't always flexible. They can sometimes be rigid, and it's nice to know that there's some movement and malleability in that. Al, it would be easy for some viewers to assume, because I talked about your affiliation with DES. Oh boy, easy for him because he knows that world. But you were a foster parent before you became a DES worker. What led you to that particular calling in life? What acquainted you with the opportunities of being a single foster parent?
At the time, I was a single parent with my own biological son, who was 5.5 years old at the time. He lived with me for 5.5 years. I was a single parent. I learned about children. I enjoyed working with him and read an article about kids in the newspaper, gave it a call, and here I am.
Good for you. Did it connect with Michael, or was it another?
This was an article that the newspaper did on foster parenting.
Okay.
And they had a number at the end of the article to give a call for information.
Michael, did you have a hand in planning that article in the paper? Do you recall?
I plant a lot of articles in the paper, so it could be.
I thought that might be possible. Okay, and that's really, it was just that opportunity in print that led you.
I'd always been interested, but I was not aware at the time that single parents could even be foster parents.
You could have said it was a television PSA, Al, but if you have to say it was newspaper, that's okay. We don't. Tyler, before we talk about your connection with the family, tell us a little bit about what you do at American Express. What's your first step in your career path?
I work for American Express, and I work for IP, and it's initial processing. And what we do is we take the charges that people send out from restaurants and so on. And
on the American Express card?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think there's 4 cards that people use, and I take them and clean them up, all the carbon copies off of them, and I stack them into trays, and then we send them to OCR or Keen, so they go over them.
But initial processing is really the first step in the whole system, and you're involved in that.
Right.
Yeah. What's your long-term ambition? What would you hope to be given whatever opportunity you'd like to have?
Well, I kind of like to work in, social work myself. I like to work with people.
Oh, good for you.
So I want to get involved with something like my dad's doing, something of that sort.
Okay.
Working with people.
Tony, regular viewers know that we tape this on Thursday morning ordinarily, and you'd be in class now. What class are you sorrowfully and regretfully missing this morning to be our guest?
Algebra 2.
Algebra. Oh, God, algebra 2. Okay. What's your long-term career hope? What are you aiming toward as a life objective?
I'm not really sure right now. I haven't given a lot of thought.
Do you know how wise an answer that is?
Yes, I do.
It really is that you don't know yet. I think one of the most punishing things we do in our society is to ask kids at 17 or 18 or 19 to decide what it is you want to do for the rest of your life. Guy, come on. Okay, not really certain yet. That's a sensible answer, and you'll have time enough to puzzle that out. Mark, how about you? Are you as smart as he is? You don't know what you want to do either?
No, I was thinking towards law.
Are you really? Are you really?
Law school.
Okay. Do you know how many lawyers there are out there, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay. So, as long as you're aware of that basic fact, I'll come back to talk to you a little bit about that. Michael, let's be really serious for a minute. How many young people are there waiting for foster home placement? To your knowledge, through the Kids Consortium,
Well,
what kind of a family waiting to become a real family is out there?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, as far as the children go, at any time there are anywhere from 75 to 100 children in shelters and emergency placements that are just waiting for foster homes to be available to take them. The severe lack of homes is probably the cause for that, and that's why after all these years I'm still recruiting and still trying to get people interested in being foster parents.
Okay, but there is always that demand. The need is there.
One of the things that I say at my informational meeting is that I can virtually guarantee that if someone becomes licensed as a foster parent, that they're going to have children placed in their home within a short time.
Okay. Now, this could be a forbidding word, Alan Nieto, licensing. What is the process, and what did you have to go through to become a licensed foster parent in Arizona?
To become licensed, you have to attend a certain number of hours of training to begin with, at which time the people presenting the class get to know you. You do a complete autobiography, your background. You present
lay it all out, do you?
everything.
Yeah.
You give references, personal references. You're fingerprinted, FBI check for the background, local. They do contact all the references provided, your employment. You have to show that you're financially solvent to at least support yourself, and you're not doing this for any kind of financial interest.
Yeah.
It is very involved.
Okay. It's involved, but it's not really forbidding. From my standpoint, as I hear it, it's awfully reassuring.
Absolutely.
Because it tells us that some care and concern about these young people is being exercised before they are placed, that there's some knowledge
Most
and understanding.
definitely.
Okay.
We probably have the best training of foster parents in the country. And
Really, in Arizona?
Yeah,
Or are you talking
the way
about your
that
consortium?
I found that out is from foster parents from other parts of the country. You know, our population is from all over the country.
Oh, sure.
So we have foster parents who have had years of experience in other areas come to Phoenix and go through the training, because they have to start from the very bottom, the basics here, and have reported back to me after they've become licensed that our training was so much more inclusive. It was more comprehensive. It was much better training than where they came from.
That's good news. It speaks well not only for our system, but for the parents who are involved in the fostering process. Mark, is he okay? Is he a decent single parent?
Yeah.
Okay. You'd say so? Good. I wasn't saying that to be funny or to get a blush out of you. I really didn't know that. Tyler, how long have you been